Hello and welcome along to another episode of Manx Radio's newscast, an opportunity to speak to some of the guests in a bit more depth than what you'll typically hear on the radio and what would feature on the breakfast show, Man in Line Update or the hourly bulletins. Broadcaster and Manx Radio veteran Paul Corkish has signed off his regular show for the last time after a 17-year stint.
Paul Corkish, the nation's station, Manx Radio.
He joined the station in 2006 and throughout his tenure at Manx Radio, he's presented a range of shows, including most notably Double Gold, Triple Gold and That Sunday Sound. Paul, thanks so much for joining us and, well, big day for you today. First of all, just talk to me about your upbringing. You were born on the Isle of Man.
Yes, I am born and bred in Douglas, Isle of Man. There was three of us. I've got two brothers. I am the middle one, the better looking of the three. Dare I say that?
And I suppose it's fair to say, like many people in this building, you're very passionate about music. At what point in your childhood did you start to take a keen interest in music?
Well, it goes back to, it must be since the inception of Manx Radio in 1964, because I can remember I was always interested in music. In fact, our family, my other two brothers, they are into music heavily, as much as me. But I always wanted to take it a step further. I remember hearing Manx Radio being broadcast for the first time. I was only a nipper, believe it or not, in my shorts at home. And then I started after school going down to Manx Radio when they were on the Douglas Promenade. They were under the Reese's Snooker Hall, which got turned into, I think it was a Chinese restaurant after. But I used to go in Castle Street, where you'd walk down a couple of steps into reception, and they would have pieces of paper on the desk where you could fill out a request and dedicate it to somebody, and then you could walk through into, which came out on the promenade, but you could walk through and you could see the presenters with putting their records on in them days. I don't know if you know what a record is, but yes, we had records in them days, and you could see them putting on the music, and I just fell in love with it, and I thought that's what I want to do.
So what is your favourite era of music? I mean, perhaps a silly question based on some of your shows on Manx Radio, but what's the highlight for you?
I think I've got to say the 60s or 70s when I that's a question that I'm often asked, and 60s or 70s when music was music. To me, a good song is one that you hear and, you can remember the tune, you can whistle the tune, which I'm sorry to say nowadays, that's... need I say more?
You did start off as a mobile DJ in the 70s, and that led to a residency at the Metropole Hotel.
Well, yes, going back, I always wanted to be into music, and I tried for many, many years I was knocking on the door of Manx Radio, and in them days it was very, very hard to get into, and I can remember going in on one of the occasions to Peter Neal, who was general manager here, and he said, you seem very keen, young man. He said, well, have you ever considered discoing? He says, that's a good way of getting into radio. So I built a console, and that's what I did, and I did it for many, many years. I even did a summer season at the Summerland. I was a compere there for the Trust House 40s then, and it was the first time I ever had my own dressing room.
That's interesting because so you would have started mobile DJing and DJing to get into radio. A lot of the time nowadays, people start in radio to be able to get into playing big festivals.
No, I've got to say it was a very good grounding, because you learn how to obviously mix music and when to talk and when not to talk. I could honestly say, if anybody's thinking of getting into radio, that is a good way. Although I think nowadays a lot of them don't use records or CDs.
USBs.
I think it's USBs, which is way out of my league.
DJing and radio presenting, in some ways they're similar, but in many ways, it's also very different.
People aren't looking at me, which, for many years, you're at the front of the crowd, actually. You're the entertainment. And, I did, it's countless how many weddings I have been to presenting music. But nowadays, I don't think I could stand in front of a crowd. I like to be in a studio where nobody can see me. And as soon as I close that studio door on a Sunday afternoon, I am in my own little world. I love it.
So that's why you like to be in Studio 2 instead of Studio 1, because there's no webcam in Studio 2.
You're not supposed to say that.
For the past 17 years, you've been on Manx Radio's roster presenting various shows. And what have the highlights been for you?
Oh, the highlights. Well, the biggest highlight actually was getting that phone call to say, yes, we want to offer you a contract here at Manx Radio, and I've got to thank Chris Williams for that, because I tried for many years. Like I say, I was knocking on the door, and Chris Williams heard me, and the rest is history. And yes, thank you, Chris, if you're listening.
You've previously described broadcasting as a complete contrast to your day job. You don't have to go into too much specifics, but for those that don't know, what industry were you in when you don't have a mic in front of you?
Well, I was time served. I time served at Ronaldsway Aircraft Company when I left school many years ago, and I think in them days, I think Ronaldsway Aircraft were the biggest employer on the island, and a lot of people, most people on the island then, worked at Ronaldsway Aircraft, and it was a fantastic place to work. And then I ended up in an accountant's working for 21 years, but I always wanted to work in radio.
You are still remaining at the station. Today is not the end. It's not goodbye entirely. You'll still be presenting on bank holidays and creating special programmes. Is there anything in the works which you're allowed to talk about yet?
Well, no, not really. I like to, as people probably know, that I like to bring in my own music. Which sometimes doesn't go down well, but with some people it does. It seems very popular. Bank holidays, yes, and especially Christmas, because I am a soft touch for Christmas music. I love my Christmas music. So,
have you got a favourite Christmas song?
Oh, that is a very hard question. No, I couldn't say.
Do you like watching music, like going to gigs?
I used to, but nowadays I'm a home bird. I love my home. I am quite happy there. My wife can go out and she can do what it wants, but I love my home, and I've got my music there, and I've always got my nose in a Guinness Book of British hit singles or albums, or I love my music.
So would you say you're quite introverted then? Because a lot of people I know in radio, they can put up the microphone and they can go from 0 to 100 when they're speaking, but they're actually quite shy in real life.
No, I wouldn't say I was a shy person. In fact, I like fun, and I like a laugh, which that probably comes across on my shows, because I like fun jingles. I love jingles. This is going back to the Radio Caroline days and the 70s, when I think music was music, and to hear Tony Blackburn and them all, Don Allen was one of my favourites, and Paul Gambaccini on Radio 2, absolutely fantastic. But jingles, I'm a jingle lover. I'm a jingle freak.
And just lastly, I want to hear. Got some comments that have been left on the news post that we put up earlier.
Oh dear.
Just have a read through those. What's your reaction to those people? I mean, because your programme obviously meant quite a lot to some people.
Oh, right, yes. Sunday afternoons will never be the same. A crying shame. You will be missed. I'll be missed on a Sunday afternoon, because like I say, I have presented for the last 17 and a half years, and the show has changed over them years. I've always tried to do my best, and that's what I will do when I am asked to come in on bank holidays. Hopefully, fingers crossed, and Christmases, but you're not getting rid of me yet.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Little Manx Radio newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.